Hello and welcome to Merlins Brick News, the weekly show on all things brick building, where we talk about set updates and announcements from all the major brands, MOCs of the week, and new LEGO ideas entries as well. Information is presented as always by setdb.org, the best source for set information on the internet. And this is actually where we are going to go. We will start with BlueBrixx as always, and here we have three announcements. BlueBrixx has now finally published their concept on what they call Brick Buddies, which is to a certain degree similar to LEGO's Brickheads, but as you can clearly see, they have like a different design language, different concept behind it. But of course, the idea is similar. You are building basically a figure on your own, and it's likely like over stylized, if you will, like comic-like look. And they have actually announced three of those. They are not available yet. As always, they announce a couple of weeks up front, and as always as well with BlueBrixx, they are not publishing any prices yet. Anyhow, this thing has 250 pieces, so my guess is somewhere in the ballpark of $15, I guess. So also here similar to Lego Brickheads. That's just my assumption at this point. Anyhow, let's start. They have first the 105419. That's Worf, Lieutenant Commander, or I think he is still a lieutenant here, because this is next generation, not DS9, so he's still lieutenant. And here we go, of course, Lieutenant Worf. We have his, what is it called actually? It's not a chain here, right? Like, anyhow, he has a batlet in his hand, and of course, there's several printed elements. So first of all, you have the communicator, and you have also as a printed 2x2 tile, I guess, and then you have, I guess, printed on the side on a plate, you have his rank. And then let's move forward. We have Captain Jean-Luc Picard, 105447, 190 pieces, so a lot less actually. I think Worf had 257, so like 25% roughly less pieces. But here we go. I mean, he's a bold guy, so I guess that's the main reason. And again, he has his captain rank as well as the communicator printed, and of course there's always the sign print plug, whatever you may call it, as well. And then we have from original series Lieutenant Spock. Was he a lieutenant back in the day? Anyhow, also printed tile, as you can see, for first of all for his Star Trek sign on his chest as well. Of course, that's not a communicator at this point in time. I guess a tricorder as well from original series. Haven't seen this stuff for quite a while, so I'm not 100% sure. But he also has his rank on his arm, actually, which is in this case a 2x1 curved slope. 223 pieces. And we're talking about the 105448. So that was BlueBrixx already for this week. Let's move on to CaDA. Here we have, it's actually also available. There's a small issue right now on SetTV, so that's why I do not have an updated link. I'm pretty sure when you see this podcast, this should be corrected. Anyhow, I already know the price for the SWAT truck, the 51207. CaDA is listing this one for $80. That's 14.3 cents a piece. However, that includes remote control, electronics, and everything. So like many kids-oriented sets in the past, you can steer these both by remote control. I think I had a picture somewhere. No, but there's actually a remote control in the box. But in addition, you can also use a Bluetooth connection with your smartphone. And like the iRobot and the Citroen Rally Car, a couple of these like kids-oriented RC sets, they also have in this app capability to basically program the vehicle. I mean, this vehicle has no sensors, so basically what you can do, and I've made a video quite some time ago in my German channel on the iRobot, the original one. There I actually showed it. It's in a nutshell, it's a graphical programming interface, and what you can do is something like, okay, move ahead for 30 seconds, then steer right for 3 seconds, then again, move ahead for 5 seconds, something like that. You can put this in a loop, like go back and forth, stuff like that. But you know, you cannot say, okay, move forward until you recognize that the wall is close to you and then turn left, something like that. It's not possible because there's no sensors. Anyhow, here you go. SWAT vehicle. I mean, it's almost like a tank, this thing. But yeah, that was CaDA. And with that, we are moving on to a set a lot of folks, I think, have been very excited about, the Medieval Peer Inn, the 9011 from Funhole. So that's an interesting one. First of all, it is available on the Funhole website starting today for $167 US, I think. I'm not sure if that includes shipping, but as always, there is a discount code. You can use the code Merlin to get 10% discount, 7.8 cents a piece. That sounds not too shabby. These are BlueBrixx pieces. I actually have this thing on my desk in front of me right now because I started building 2 days ago. Amazing set, quite large actually. It is larger than a modular building, so it has roughly maybe something like 636 by 36, or maybe 36 by 38, something in that. A little bit more than the typical 32 by 32 that modulars have. And of course, as always with Funhole, the price includes lighting. It's not that detailed. I mean, it has only, in quotes, 2,143 pieces. Which for a set that is bigger than a modular, of course, you know, has its limitations then in detail. What is really, really cool is this sail. I mean, there's not much left of the sail, but I have it in front of me here right now, and it's a pretty cool fabric. Have never seen such a fabric with a brick build set, and it looks really, really great. They have 4 minifigures included, I think, which look quite beautiful as well. And as always, there's a lot of detail, all the lighting, etc., etc. So far, a lot of fun to build. Great quality. Yeah, the only thing that is a bit strange, I guess, is that this is like a pirate set, but Funhole is saying it's medieval. I mean, obviously medieval, I don't know, medieval for me ends maybe in the 1500s, and this looks more like 200 years later. For me, that's more like, I don't know, Renaissance, something like that. There's a guy with a saxophone in here. I think you could see him. Let me just check. So I don't know when this instrument was made for the very first time, but it's neither medieval nor pirate setting related. So that's at least my guess. But anyhow, the set looks great. I hope I can finish the build until this weekend. With that, we're moving on to Lego, and here we have availability now of the 21340, the new idea set Tales of the Space Age, which is quite interesting. I think it's very similar to the original design entry on Lego Ideas, as you can see here. The only difference is that instead of 3 of these things, the Lego set has actually 4. And I think my understanding is, somebody told me, but I haven't checked it out, that the designer put the 4th one also on Rebrickable. Is that possible? Not 1% sure. Anyhow, Lego decided to go for all 4 of them. The idea is also very similar. You can put them basically on a shelf, or you can attach them to the wall, as Lego is showing here. I think because of that, they also have like a Technic construction inside, so that you can put it safely on the wall. And actually, on this picture done by the Lego team, it looks pretty cool. Actually, I think having them separated like this and then on the wall actually looks a lot better than, you know, all next to each other. This thing is going to be available May 8, so they decided to put this outside of the, let's say, May the 4th operation over on Lego, because they will release a lot of interesting stuff, right? We have the Superstar Destroyer, we have the new UCS X-Wing, we have the new dioramas, we have brickheads. So I guess because of that, because it is to a certain degree an overlap with, let's say, in the community, right? Because it is an 18+ set, and they release a lot of 18+ stuff around May the 1st. That's my personal guess, but who knows? Maybe it's just not ready. Anyhow, going to be released May 8, and they are asking for $50 US. That's 7.3 cents a piece. However, I mean, that sounds like almost like a bargain if you look in the Lego portfolio. However, I mean, there are no prints in the set, no license, no minifigures. It's just a couple of bricks, basically. And I guess for that, it is okay. If you're into, let's say, the Lego price model. Anyhow, let's move on. They also announced, and this thing is actually going to be launched May the 1st, the new Peugeot 9x8 24-hour Le Mans hybrid hypercar, the 42156. So that's basically a Technic model of this beast here, the Peugeot 9x8 hypercar. I think this thing will start this year in Le Mans. Is that a correct understanding? Not 1% sure. Somebody told me, but I already forgot where this thing is starting. But this picture here was a prototype. But Peugeot, I think, will actually race with this thing. And Lego has now created is set out of it. The picture actually looks quite amazing because it kind of looks like this is metallic. However, I was told that this is not true. This is just gray, regular gray. And of course, it has a million stickers, and I'm pretty sure it's going to look pretty ugly without them. So this is one of those sets that you put on a shelf, and after 10 years, it's going to look like garbage because all these stickers will basically disintegrate. So maybe it's a good idea to immediately after you have the set, you can of course order additional sticker sheets from Lego. I guess that's one of those sets where it kind of makes sense to put one of those into the bank so that to give this vehicle a second lifetime. Anyhow, I mean, from a technical perspective, it is a crazy car, right? The original already looks a bit weird and strange, and I think this one here as well, it is a 24-hour of Le Mans racing car, so I guess that's okay. Personally, I must say it's not really my cup of tea, but there are a couple of interesting shapes in here. But is also in here, however, is a million blue pins that you can see from the outside, which I think is always something that I at least don't like that much. What I do really like is that you have here basically kind of a lighting included, which looks really, really cool, at least at night. But yeah, all in all, too many blue pins, too many stickers. And I'm also not sure, I mean, if you look at this picture here, you can see the real gray, right? Without basically faking it, what they did here. I mean, of course, this thing here looks a lot cooler in this metallic-like look compared to the original in dark bluish gray. But I guess it is a nice vehicle. Anyhow, Lego is asking for $200 US. Over here in Europe, you can already see that first retailers are already starting to list this one. For instance, we have here Brickmo, that's a retailer from Austria, and they are listing this thing for 160 euros, which is definitely less than $200. And I think that includes even tax already. So as always, with these Technic sets, there are quite some discounts going to be expected, at least over here in Europe. With that, we are moving on to MOYU. And I'm pretty sure I've pronounced this entirely wrong. But here, I think I reported on these. Did I? No, I didn't. There are a couple of planted plants and pots, basically. I think MOYU calls the series the ice cream flower. I guess because this is like a waffle, an ice cream waffle, right? I guess that's another reason why they call it like this. Anyhow, these are very small plants and pots, and a couple of those are now available over here in Europe. Let's get started with the 87072. This is Blue Rose is a potential translation. I'm not sure if it's actually correct, but I will stick to with those. With this one, it's actually $4 over here in Europe at BlueBrixx. Is a retailer, 5.8 cents a piece. I have not yet seen it over here in China, actually. I've just seen it here in Europe. And with that, we're moving on to another flower, which I cannot pronounce. Chrysanthemum? I don't know. I'm not really a plant guy. Anyhow, 87077, 64 pieces, and again, $4. And then I think what is a bit more interesting for Technic enthusiasts who are maybe looking for a bargain after looking at this Lego car, and this is actually a supercar by MOYU again. It has 2,244 pieces, and it costs only in China, of course, that is not without a box, and potentially wherever you live, you have to pay a bit more for shipping. However, right now, Bawia, which is the retailer that has this thing in stock, actually has right now a 13% discount going. So I think you can buy this, I guess, around $80. Anyhow, it costs only half of what the Lego set costs, and it is more pieces. It has more pieces, so I think that could be interesting to some. The color scheme, I actually like it, I must say. I mean, I needed some time. I had to look at it a couple of times. It has, of course, MOYU has similar vehicles that Lego has by means of the blue pins, but the purple, white, and black is actually a nice color scheme. And compared to the Lego one, I'm pretty sure this thing should also look quite good without the stickers, which I personally think is a great benefit. Of course, I can't say anything about the quality, and it seems to me that there are a couple of printed pieces in here as well. I mean, with lacquered pieces, and of course I don't know what the printing quality is. That was already set updates for this week. With that, we are moving on to MOCs of the week. I have actually a couple of those. Let's start with something small, a tree lot actually. It is called by Caro Govin. I'm pretty sure I pronounced this entirely wrong. 457 pieces, basically a couple of trees, mostly except one, except of the evergreen here, which is made out of grass. All the others are designed with the small limb elements. And as far as I can tell, all of these tree ideas or tree concepts, whatever you may call it, actually are quite, are basically not overdoing it when it comes to limb elements. So especially when it comes to trees, there are a couple of very cool looking tree designs out there, especially with the small limb elements where you basically have to put them together. And actually it stresses the pieces quite a lot. This seems not to be the case here. They are relatively built in a standard fashion and look quite cool. You could, you have bushes in here, you have trees, even a larger evergreen, I guess, in here. And they look quite nice, and they are all for free. So this designer is giving you all of these different ideas and designs for free. For all of you who are big fans of the Executor, this Executor Star Dreadnought, we have here by a designer which name I cannot pronounce. Actually like a mid-size Super Star Destroyer design. And this is what I really, really like, because my issue is a lot that very often with these ships, especially with the Star Destroyer, be it Venator, the regular one, or the Executor, or the Super Star Destroyer, there are a lot of amazing MOCs out there. However, they are like in the ballpark of 7, 8, 9, 10,000 pieces. And of course, now you have the small one by Lego that is going to release May the 1st for like 660 pieces. So one of them is, from my point of view, I mean, I will build the Lego set, but personally, I guess it's a bit too small for my personal taste. And the other big ones, I don't have the space for it. So, long story short, this one here is like mid-size. So I think it has a lot of detail. It did the shapes quite well, I would say. I guess even better than the new Lego model. Let's see. But, it doesn't break the bank, and you can put it on a regular shelf in a nutshell. So anyhow, great design, $9 for this MOC. And then we have, again, by Chris Romans, and I mean, I love this mini series that this designer has been doing for the last couple of months, mostly focused on like 18+ sets from Lego. And now here we have a couple of these for the Bricklink Designer series. All of these you can buy individually, but right now what I'm showing you is a package. You have the observatory there, the train station, the Venice houses, or I'm not 100% sure how it was called, the Lego store, and the bowling alley. And I mean, they again look quite beautiful. They catch the original set quite well. And again, you need a lot less pieces and, even more importantly, a lot less space. So personally, I'm a big fan of these mini designs for those two reasons. And I think they look great. Of course, they're not as detailed, and you cannot look on the inside and stuff like that, but they have no functions. They are just looking nice on your shelf. Anyhow, this entire collection of 5 of these is 2,236 pieces. Obviously, you can buy them individually as well. And then for all of the Jurassic Park fans out there, I think JP has done a great design here with the helipad gate. This is actually the full diorama, but you can also just buy the gate. And I think this is an interesting MOC for all of you who are interested in, moving into or building a big Jurassic Park diorama. For instance, you have built like what was it called? The Escape of the T-Rex 18+ Jurassic Park set from last year, which of course gave you an idea, like a minifigure scale, how this could look like, but it was like just a tiny diorama, right? So if you want to build a MOC going from there, then I think this one here can help you as well. Again, has a fence, it has a gate, so you can basically, even if you're not building the entire gate, you can get interesting building techniques out of this one. And then with that, we are moving on to Guy 5368. I think I showed the Viking village from him. And now he has built the Sphinx. I'm not 100% sure how it's pronounced. You know what it is. Actually, however, it is in the original color scheme that we believe it might have had, right? Like with so many ancient architecture, be it Greek, Roman, or Egyptian, because nowadays the only thing that is left is the original rock it was made out of, the sandstone. a lot of folks, always associate with these ancient buildings like a yellowish tone, which of course is not the case. Back in the days, they were all painted and they were actually quite colorful. So, and this is, I think, the idea here also by guy 5368 to do it like this. And I think because he wasn't sure like which color scheme looks the best, he just put a couple of these in the box. For just $2, you can buy the instructions for this one. And with that, we are moving on to a very interesting concept by BlueBrixx, which I really like. In a nutshell, it is kind of an alternate build out of the lined castle and the 3-in-1 castle, plus additional pieces that you need to throw in. However, in the package, my understanding, or out of that, you can build a lot of variations of different castles. So he has different concepts in here for the different knightly orders, if you will, and basically have different configurations. So there is like a reimagination of different castles, Black Falcons, Lion Knights. Here are these. What are these called again? I forgot them. These are the I don't know which is this castle. I'm 1% sure. Anyhow, he has basically done recreations of the 6080, the 6073, the 6074, and the 6086. So this is really, really cool. I think it gives, first of all, I really like all of these castles. They look quite beautiful, and I kind of would prefer all of them compared to the original Lion Knights castle. However, as you can see on this picture, you can also combine them. So if you have, I don't know, if you have a lot of money and want to buy multiple Lion Knights castles, here you go. This could be a lot of fun. A lot of fun, but actually quite an exercise could be as well to buy or build the Battlestar Galactica from KK MOCs. So this is a MOC of the Battlestar with 23,729 pieces. Those two guys actually, it's Claudius Karch and Markus Kornmann. They have actually built this gigantic behemoth, and usually when I would see like a digital design like this one, I would simply say, yeah, I mean, this works in studio, but in reality, I mean, let's see. But as you can see, they have built this thing for real. They actually made it, and I think they made also a couple of videos around this. And I mean, yeah, it is a Battlestar. It's made out of Legos, and it looks so cool. It's unbelievable how huge this thing is. I think it's like 1 meter. Yeah, it's 61 inches or 1 meter and 60 in length. And like I said, it has almost 24,000 pieces and weighs 23 kilograms or slightly below 51 pounds. So yeah, they are actually asking for 99 euros for the instructions, which personally I think is totally okay, because this thing is just crazy. I mean, it's unbelievable that they even made the effort to build this thing, and of course also design the instructions. So if you are, if you're ready for this ride, here you go, Battlestar Galactica. I guess the biggest MOC where you can actually buy instructions, at least I have ever talked about. Anyhow, let's move on to something a lot smaller, the Japanese tea house on a pond by Ozzy Shaza. I have no idea. I'm pretty sure I pronounced this entirely wrong. He is actually an Aussie because it costs $5 Australian, the designer, and the MOC actually has 1,354 pieces. And yeah, it's actually it's simple. I mean, that's the idea, right, of a Japanese architecture or to Japanese traditional architecture. But I think it is quite beautiful, and I think even if you don't want to build the entire thing, there's a lot of ideas in there as well, a couple of interesting flower designs, but I do like the building as well, quite nice. Same designer also created for free a Sakura tree. You can both get this one as an IO file, so in case you want to do a couple of modifications, but also get the instructions as a PDF. And actually I think it's it's just very simple but nice and beautiful design. Should work quite well also, for instance, with the Lego Bonsai. With that, we are moving on to AndyLou285, who has created also a couple of interesting mini designs similar to the ones from Chris Romans. What is really cool around this one, that it also includes the Technic pins that you usually have in a modular building. So AndyLou has done Not only quite a list of interesting ships, but also several different modular buildings, and I guess they all of them have this pin connection. So I think even for these small sets, this could be interesting, because basically you can build 4 or 5 of them and put them together, and if you want to carry them around, this could be quite helpful. So really, really nice designs. He has done the modular, the bookstore, but also the boutique hotel, for instance. So a lot of variety. With that, we are done with MOCs of the week. Let's move on to LEGO ideas. Here, actually, after I think we had a very busy week last week. I think last week we talked about, I don't know, almost a dozen design entries. This week it's only one, and I have a lot of déjà vus here, because this is Taylor Swift's Lover House. I think that's a music video from Taylor Swift, right? And I think we had already an ideas entry before, but I guess a lot of folks who like these kind of designs also get very enthusiastic right now after the BTS Dynamite, and I think this is also a set that worked quite well, is my understanding, for LEGO. Long story short, here we have another entry around a music video. We had several of those since BTS Dynamite made the cut. Anyhow, I think it's a really great design. Actually, I've not really watched the video, the original one in its entirety, but I think it looks very authentic. It's very detailed designed. I'm not really sure if LEGO would ever do it. I mean, it looks a million times better from my point of view than the BTS Dynamite one, just my personal taste. But of course, I think this thing would need more than 2,000. Yeah, it's 2,500 pieces. So I'm not really sure if that is in the cards for LEGO around a music video to do a set this size. And I think this set would not do well with, let's say, 1,000 pieces. I think it would lose too much depth and too much detail. Anyhow, great design by, actually, what was the designer? By Lucy33. So that was actually already the week. Not that much, but let's see. I mean, I think next week is going to be a lot more interesting. LEGO has started to announce or give us more detail on Sonic and a couple of other things. So anyhow, I hope you liked the show. For those of you who watch this on YouTube, please leave a like or comment, or even better, subscribe to the channel. For you podcast listeners, please leave a review, comment, or like on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to the show. Thanks for listening. See you next week.